Welcome back to YouTube channel Chemistry Live UGPG. Today we'll discuss crystal field theory lecture 1. So I have a simple message for you guys. Please think for innovation, be creative, learn everywhere, anytime and help to learn others. So today we'll discuss the crystal field theory lecture 1. So this is how the dz square orbital look like. So this is the 3D structure. So it will tell us, this crystal field theory will tell us the spatial mechanics of d orbital splitting in different ligand fields. So while talking about crystal field theory, we need to know what is the foundation behind it. So this was proposed by Bethe and Van Vleck, and there will be purely electrostatic attraction, and they are mainly ion-ion type or ion-dipole type interaction or attraction. And when some covalence is allowed, that is renamed as ligand field theory. And we'll discuss here for octahedral complex, and we analyze some parameters. So this crystal field theory was proposed by Bethe and Van Vleck, and they assume that it is a purely electrostatic interaction. So the central metal the central transition metal act as a positive ion, and its charge will be equal to the oxidation state. So the binding forces are strictly limited to the two electrostatic types. One is ion-ion attraction and another is ion-dipole attraction. For a cobalt complex, so the cobalt metal ion, and we have, suppose chloride ion is there as ligand, so there will be a electrostatic ion-ion attraction. Similarly, when neutral molecules like ammonia is present in the complex CONH3 so the nitrogen atom, due to its electronegativity in ammonia, it higher electronegativity, so it develops a partial negative charge on nitrogen and partial hydrogen delta plus partial positive charge develop on hydrogen. It has low electronegativity, hydrogen 2.1. So due to the dipole generated in the neutral molecules, so the negative end of a dipole will be directed to the central metal atom that is positively charged CO3+. So the neutral ligands orient their molecular dipoles towards the positive metal core in the transition metal complexes. So here we have another example, the ion-ion attraction, how it look like, cobalt 3 plus with Cl minus ion, and we have ion dipole attraction, cobalt 3 plus with, so this is the how the dipole look like in ammonia. So this delta negative charge reside on the nitrogen. So the crystal field theory, they assume that there is a point charge interaction. So the ligands are treated as point charges, and there will be zero orbital overlap. So there will not be any orbital overlap. And when some allowance is made for covalency, it is renamed as ligand field theory. So covalence means there will be some overlap. Suppose you have a sigma overlap, you can see here head-on overlapping, you can have a pi overlap, and here you can have also d pi or p pi, that is known as usually back bonding. So basically we can say the crystal field theory is purely electrostatic interaction. So here are some postulates of crystal field theory or assumptions of crystal field theory. So the ligands are treated exclusively as point charges. And second thing is there is no interaction between the metal orbital and the ligand orbital. So suppose this is ligand orbital and this is the d orbital, d metal orbital, there will not be any interaction. So this is the electrostatic boundary, so that there will not be any covalent overlap. So purely electrostatic repulsion, no orbital mixing. So now usually when the metal atom is free, all the 5, we know that there are 5 d orbitals in the transition metal complexes. So all the 5 d orbitals in the central metal, they will have same energy, that is called degenerate orbitals. But when the spherically symmetrical field of a negative charge surround the ion, the repulsion between field and the metal electron raises the overall energy. And still the d orbitals will remain degenerate. But usually the real ligand fields are not spherically symmetrical. So in most of the transition metal complexes, the metals surround either by 6 ligands in case of octahedral complexes. So this is the octahedral geometry, and usually by 4 ligands in case of tetrahedral geometry. So here you can see the tetrahedral geometry where you can have 4 ligands at the corners of the tetrahedral. Because the field is asymmetrical, so the ligands will destroy the degeneracy of the orbital by affecting them unequally. So in an octahedral complex, the metal acts at the center of the octahedron. So since octahedral complex means there will be 6 ligands, so you will have a octahedral complex. So these 6 ligands will approach directly along the Cartesian coordinates, taking their position as the 6 corners of the octahedron. And we have 5 types of d orbitals that we are talking about. One is called T2G set and another is called EG set. So this is dxy, dyz and dyz orbital, and their lobes are in between the two axes. And whereas EG orbitals, that is the dx square minus y square orbital and dz square orbital, their lobes point along the axis, as you can see here, along z axis and along y axis and x axis here for dx square minus y square. So what happens when the ligand will approach for bonding? What happens? The EG lobes point along the axis. EG orbitals, their lobes point along the axis. So when the ligand will approach, that will result maximum electron-electron repulsion. Whereas for T2G set of orbitals, since their lobes point in between the axes, so there will be less repulsion in comparison to the EG set of orbitals. Then electrons on the central metal atom are under repulsive forces from those of on the ligands. So therefore the electron will occupy the d orbitals farthest away from the direction of ligand approach to minimize this repulsion. And because the ligands in octahedral complex approach strictly along the axis, so the EG orbitals will suffer direct hits and experience maximum repulsion. So when the approach of 6 ligand will take place to the metal ion, so as a result the complex will form, and this will split the degenerate 5 degenerate orbitals into 2 sets, T2G set of orbital and EG set of orbital. So under the influence of octahedral ligand field, the initial degenerate d orbitals will split into 2 energy set, that is the T2G set and EG set. So in summary, the ligand act as negative point charges, and in configuration of OH for asymmetric approach along of the specific axis, and due to repulsion, the EG orbital versus T2G orbital, they will split into 2 types of orbitals, T2G set of orbital and EG set of orbital. So in summary, the interaction between the ligand and metal ion, that is purely electrostatic bonding, no covalent bonding, and the ligands are treated as point charges. And initially in free atom, the metal d orbitals are degenerate, they are having same energy. When the ligands will approach the metal ion for bonding, the degeneracy of the d orbital is lost, and they will split into 2 sets, T2G set, that is lower in energy, and EG set higher in energy. And the difference between this T2G and EG, that is called a crystal field splitting energy, CFSE. Now I would like to thank Notebook LM for making excellent slides for my notes for better understanding of the students. So please subscribe to our channel Chemistry Live UGPG. And this is the channel Foundation Chemistry AB for class 11th and 12th students. So this is a simple step towards e-learning, making life better. Thank you all for learning.